Hello, I'm Stacia Solomon, one of the assistant directors in Duke Career Center. Today, I want to talk to you about virtual networking and share some tips and advice for productive networking in virtual settings. Virtual networking can take many different forms, from communicating one-on-one with an individual to participating in a highly interactive live event to attending a large-scale webinar. There are multiple ways to connect with people in virtual settings, which were previously only considered for face-to-face interactions. This session will cover some tips and strategies for networking and communicating virtually, which will help you to make the most of your virtual events and interactions. At the close of today's session, you will know which behaviors and actions are necessary for a productive virtual networking experience. You will also gain some insight into how to research effectively in preparation for virtual networking events and interactions. And you will also know how to professionally present yourself in virtual settings. This session will specifically cover some networking tips and strategies. It will also cover some things to avoid when networking virtually. And I'll also share some resources to consider for your further insight. The first point that we'd like to start with is updating your online presence. Before you register for an event, and hopefully even before you reach out to a potential contact, you want to make sure that your online presence is in a state that is satisfactory to you. In this day and age, it's very common for someone to Google you, to look for you on LinkedIn, to search for your website. And if they do, what will they find? Is your LinkedIn profile complete? Does it have accurate and up-to-date information? Does your website accurately depict your current work or research? Is the contact information easy to find? Are your photos professionally done or do they look professional, even if you haven't done them by a professional photographer? These are things that you want to consider when you are looking at improving your online presence. This is something that is very important in this time. If you find that you need some assistance or would like some feedback with this particular part of your presentation, then you are definitely encouraged to schedule an appointment with the Duke Career Center to get some insight. I also like to encourage you to check out the LinkedIn Learning course on creating your profile, which is open to you as a Duke student, a current Duke student. I would also encourage you to attend any Career Center events or employer events on this topic for improving your own online presence. The next point that I like to bring to your attention is making sure that you are prepared for virtual events and interactions. If the event that you are attending is sponsored by an employer and it is focused on some research or opportunity that that employer has, it would really behoove you to do your research ahead of time about that opportunity. This would allow you to make some really informed decisions and also prepare your questions ahead of time. You will also want to have any documents ready to share, such as your CV or research proposals or anything of that nature that may be beneficial for you to share in order to further develop your interactions in that particular setting. If you are attending a more general event, you want to make sure that you've researched the event enough or know enough about the event so that you can at least ask some questions and participate if there's an opportunity to do so. If you are participating in a virtual interaction or event that has some pre-work required, or if you have reached out to someone and they asked you to review an article or to check out some pieces of information before your conversation, then you want to make sure that you do that so that you can fully engage. This also communicates that you value that person's time. It will also help you to get the very most out of the event by doing that pre work. The best thing that you can do before a virtual networking opportunity is to get ready for it. The last thing that you want to do is to log on without having revisited any information about the event or the request, or even looking up the person that you've reached out to find out more about them so that you can make the most of that conversation. You want to make sure that you're prepared. The last thing that you want to do is have an opportunity that you end up missing because of your lack of preparation. This slide shows you just a few online resources that you can use to research for some of those opportunities. Glassdoor is one, especially for employer opportunities. LinkedIn is another great resource that you can use. You can also check out a company's website or an organization's website to learn more about them and the particular opportunity that you may be attending. Social media is also a great way. A lot of companies and organizations and even individuals now are using these platforms as a way to professionally reach out and build their brand, which may be of interest to you. Of course, Google and Google Finance, if the fields that you're looking for, especially respond to the financial industry. The Duke Alumni Directory is another great wealth of resource and people that you can use to do your research. Your current mentors and colleagues, whether they be currently at Duke or previous institutions, or your current employers that you can use to gather your research. And also news sites and news outlets will help you to gather research and gain some insight into upcoming events or people or interactions that you are preparing to attend. This one is really important. It would seem that could go without saying, but you definitely want to attend the events that you register for. In short, you want to show up. So if you register for an event, you want to make sure that you place it on your calendar. If you reach out to an individual to request an informational interview, you definitely want to place that on your calendar too. Because we are living in this time where many things are virtual right now, and people can be at any place in the whole world, you want to make sure that you are clear on the time zone for that appointment as well. So if an event is taking place at Eastern Standard Time and you currently live in the Pacific time zone, you want to adjust your availability accordingly to make sure that you don't miss that opportunity. It's really important as well for some events that you register for that you show up, and if your availability has changed, that you are sure to cancel your registration to notify the organizers that you are no longer available to attend. This could impact the success of certain events, so you want to make sure that you are being courteous in that way to notify anyone that you have scheduled time to be with that you are no longer unable to attend. Engaging in events is really important, although some events will not allow you to do so. So for this point, I want to specify that when it is inappropriate, it is appropriate, you want to engage in events. Some events are strictly informational, and so there is no opportunity for you to engage, or there's little opportunity for you to engage, which may have required for you to submit a question ahead of time, or may allow you to um, follow up after the event to gain information. But if there is an opportunity for you to engage during an event, then you want to take that opportunity to do so. You can do this by asking questions, answering questions that are posed by the facilitators. You can do this also by responding to polls that may be presented within the event. You can also do this by communicating in breakout rooms if that is an opportunity or a function of the particular event. You can also submit questions in the chat if there's a chat function or a question function or some type of function where you are allowed to communicate electronically by typing. You can engage in that way as well. If you are in a setting and if your bandwidth and the bandwidth for the event will allow you to do so, it's also a great thing when you can turn your camera on and have your video showing. This gives an element of humanity and makes it feel even more like a face-to-face event that is sometimes nice for facilitators to have. But again, you have to temper out what type of event it is and if that is something that is possible to do. But at whatever level that you are able to engage, I highly encourage you to engage and participate in the event. Practicing professional courtesy is extremely important, especially in virtual settings. It is also one element that seems to have been lost a lot in some of these virtual events as they have transitioned from face to face events to virtual events. I want to encourage you to consider these events just as if it was an in person event. So, for instance, how would you dress when you attend that event? How would you present yourself when you attend the event if it were in person? Would you show up on time? If you answer these questions in the way that you answer these questions, you want to make sure that you do these things in a virtual session as well. If you would not leave the event before it is over, then you want to make sure that if it was happening physically in person, then you want to make sure that you stay for the entirety of the event while it is online. If you were sitting in a face-to-face event and you were participate, if a facilitator asked you questions or was encouraging you to engage in a group dialogue, then make sure that you display that same behavior when you are asked in a virtual event for feedback or to give some or to participate in a poll or et cetera during a virtual event. You also want to make sure that, again, if your camera is on, that your background is appropriate, so that there is no opportunity for distractions for the facilitator or any other attendees for the event. And the last thing that I want to point out that if there are opportunities for you to engage in breakout rooms during a particular event, you want to make sure that you don't leave the event during a breakout room session, but you actually participate in the breakout room and come back in. That is also an act of courtesy. It's really equally important to mention that you stay fully present when you're participating in these events, which means don't multitask during the event, such as checking email or doing other things. You want to be fully present so that you can fully engage and get the most out of that opportunity. Lastly, with one-on-one communication, this is a great opportunity for you to leave a good and lasting impression with the organizers of the event or the person if it's a one-on-one interaction that you have. So for interactions, for events, you want to make notes of any names of anyone with whom you are in contact with so that uh, possibly you could reach out to them via LinkedIn or some other communication just to thank them, to follow up, or even to ask a question after the event. These interactions are typically appreciated and allows you an opportunity for further dialogue. It's also very appropriate that if it is a larger event and the chat function is enabled, for you to post a thank you in the chat before the end of the event. You can also send a note to the facilitator or the registration. If there was a registration email address, you can send a thank you as well to express your gratitude. With one-on-one communications, when you're reaching out to individuals to communicate electronically or virtually, you want to be concise in your communication, be clear with your ask, and stay within whatever allotted time frame that you outline in that initial communication. You can also reference our guide on informational interviewing to find a template for drafting such messages, which will help you to align your thoughts and follow a strategy that has been used and has been beneficial for many students. Want to end this session by encouraging you to schedule an appointment with the career advisor in the Duke Career Center. This slide shows our contact information, our phone number, our email address, and also our web address. Also like to encourage you to follow us on social media at Duke Careers on Instagram, YouTube, FaceTime, and Twitter. Thank you so much for your time today. We look forward to seeing you hopefully soon in the Duke Career Center.